We're here to talk about homes. So let me ask you a few questions. How many of you out here who do own homes could not afford to repurchase them today at today's prices? Okay, several of you.
On October 18, 2007, Action in Montgomery brought together 537 leaders from congregations across the county to address the crisis in affordable housing.
In our AIM House meetings and in one-on-one meetings, we are hearing a sadness, a wistfulness, a kind of mourning for how Montgomery County used to be. We hear stories that it used to be a place where a young family, say a teacher and a police officer, could get started and buy a modest home. It was a place where when our children grew up, they could also get started and settle here. A place where if you work for 30 years or so, you could afford to stay here in retirement, close to family and friends when you need them the most. But now our housing market has become so disconnected from the finances of the average family that this is no longer possible for thousands and thousands of us. And we must take back a portion of the housing market and link it to real finances of regular working people.
Good evening. My name is Jennifer Jones, and this is my son, Alan Jones Taylor. And before I begin, I would like to tell you just a little bit about myself. Just last May, I received my doctorates in Communication Sciences and Disorder from Howard University. In the beginning of 2007, we received a letter from the owners of Broadstone Apartment letting us know that our home was going to be demolished and converted into luxury apartments. Moving is never easy, but it's a slap in the face when you're forced to do so.
From 2003 to 2005, the county lost 25% of its affordable rental stock, 11,591 units. Nationally, for every new affordable unit built, 2 are demolished or converted into market rate units.
The most important thing to me was to make sure that my son has a safe and stable environment. I know how this disruption in his life could have a negative consequence on his education as well as his development into manhood. I was fortunate enough to find a new apartment in the same school district, but unfortunately I pay close to 50% of my income. It's going towards rent. I work 2 jobs as well as tutor on weekends just to make ends meet. I think as a society, we need to think about how this process of eviction can have negative consequences not only on family and children, but on society as a whole. Thank you for listening.
In May of this year, I married Jamie Burney, also a Montgomery County firefighter, who I met back in 2004 when we were both still volunteers. We immediately began looking to buy a house after we got married, since we understood that to be a good financial investment compared to renting. We had heard from our coworkers in the fire department that it was impossible to buy anything good in the county. In case you don't know, a huge majority of our firefighters live outside of the county, some as far away as Pennsylvania, but Frederick County, Hagerstown, far away.
Of the jobs in Montgomery County that are most in demand, 75% do not pay a salary that would allow a family to live in the county.
Jamie and I went through 2 real estate agents, 3 mortgage brokers, and more open houses than I care to remember before we realized that our coworkers were right. Even the cheapest townhouses in the county were beyond our price range. We managed to find 2 or 3 condominium possibilities in Germantown that seemed to be an okay size, but we quickly realized that the mortgage payments on those would be more than 50% of our combined income. Eventually, we decided to rent for another year, hoping that with a little saving and our slightly increased incomes next year, we might be able to try again. We're currently paying about 42% of our income in rent and we live in a great apartment in Rockville. It's kind of funny. I completely took for granted the great neighborhood I grew up in, with all the county employees as my neighbors. Now when I overhear people discussing the affordable housing debate, I can hear the disdain in their voices as they contemplate the negative connotations of having lower income residents move into their neighborhood. I'm standing up here tonight in my county uniform to remind you of the kind of people that affordable housing can benefit. I love protecting you guys every day as a firefighter paramedic. I'm just asking one thing. I want to be your neighbor.
I was told to speak in my teacher's voice. Hello, I'm Lynn Blood, a retired teacher, a member of Colesville United Methodist Church, and a resident of Willow Manor, a senior apartment community. For 27 years, I taught school to kids of all ages. I'm one of the lucky ones who retired with full pension in 1990, and my income consists of that and my widow's benefit and Social Security check. Even though Willow Manor is a subsidized community, my rent has increased every year more than my so-called cost of living increases. Next year's pension raise is exactly $21. I don't need to tell you how far that'll go. Obviously, this is not adequate to meet the actual cost of living. My rent takes almost half my income, my entire Social Security check.
Montgomery County has one of the largest and fastest growing senior populations in the country. From 1950 to 2000, the number of seniors rose by 966%.
When I go to the grocery store, I take my $20 bill so that I won't be tempted to buy anything extra. Maybe I'll spend $1 to buy cat food. Any major expenses, such as a tooth crown or a car repair, is a major problem. I have to rely increasingly on my life savings to survive. I am more fortunate than many who do not have savings, but I worry about the future. Living in Montgomery County is important to me because my family is here. They are my support system. But they do not have room for me in their small home. If the rent continues to rise annually, I'll have to move to a smaller place, give up my car, or move further from my family. The older I get, the more important the support of my family becomes, even critical. Montgomery County needs to have a comprehensive, affordable housing plan for our increasing senior population.
Mr. Leggett, I'd like to propose a few more questions around housing to you. Okay. Will you preserve all multifamily affordable housing or ensure that there is at least one-to-one replacement of all affordable units? Second question, will you, Mr. Leggett, quadruple the HIF from 20 million to 80 million by the 2010 fiscal year? Third question is, will you create a senior level housing position as an affordable housing chief on your staff? And the fourth question is, will you meet with AIM in the next 6 weeks to discuss progress and implementation of all of the above, including possible funding sources for the HIF?
The answer to all four questions now is yes, and let me explain. Thank you.
So the question is for us now, Action in Montgomery. Will we step up to this challenge? Will we help lead this county in ending what is now an unaffordable housing policy to create a place for all of God's people? We know that poverty has more to do with relationships than resources, with power than possessions. And AIM is about building relationships and about building power. So this is our moment. We can, with God's help, reconnect the housing market to the reality of people's lives to ensure that we all have a place in the present and the future of Montgomery County.
It will not happen unless we are all working together. I need you on the regulatory front, I need you on the legislative front, and I need you on the budget balance that will come in order for us to achieve what we've talked about here this evening. I need your help and I need your support. So I'm going to ask you, are you prepared to carry this battle forward with me in order to translate what we've talked about in paper, what we all agree upon, and what we need for Montgomery County? Are you prepared to carry this fight forward?
You too can get involved in any of AIM's campaigns by contacting an AIM leader at your congregation. AIM's current issue campaigns also include improving community centers, opening a full-service immigration office, providing college scholarships, and promoting pedestrian safety. If your congregation is not already a member, talk to an AIM representative to join. Together, we can make Montgomery County a welcome place for all of God's children.